living in the city!
When we think about rebellion, we think about punk, a raw, chaotic energy that rejects societal norms. This is where we find Stevo, the ultimate embodiment of youthful defiance, living in the heart of Salt Lake City, surrounded by a group of friends who share his disdain for the system. Stevo challenges his anger into punk rock, graffiti, and anarchy. He lives in a world where every moment is a protest, every action a rejection of conformity. But as his journey unfolds, he's forced to confront the emptiness that comes with a life lived only in opposition. Charles Foster Kane, a man not driven by rebellion, but by ambition, a thirst for power and a need for control, and the grandeur of his sprawling estate, Zondu. Kane is isolated by his own success. His rise to power starts with idealism, but over time ambition chips away at his soul, leaving him alone with all his wealth and no one to share it with. His story is a journey from youthful passion to deep, soul-crushing loneliness. Charles Foster Kane's journey begins with grand ideals when he first takes over the New York Enquirer. His youthful enthusiasm shines through as he declares, "I think it would be fun to run a newspaper." He's driven by a desire to influence the world to make a difference. But as Kane's power grows, so does his disillusionment. His declaration of principles, the vows to uphold, is a symbol of his early commitment to truth. But as time passes, those principles slip away. At one point he says, "I did it all for you, I wanted to be loved." This reveals his deep yearning for validation, yet his success leaves him increasingly alone. The pinnacle of this emptiness is observed in the iconic scene at Zondu, where Kane's vast fortune surrounds him, but he is isolated. Surrounded by riches, he echoes, "If I hadn't been very rich, I might have been a really great man." It's a powerful reflection of how abandoning his ideals ultimately cost him the very happiness he sought to control. Stevo also begins his journey with defiance and rebellion. He's convinced that rejecting mainstream society is the answer, but as his story unfolds, there's a shift, a deep realization that rebellion without purpose doesn't lead to fulfillment. The turning point for Stevo comes after the death of his friend Bob, which forces him to reflect on the consequences of his choices. He says, "I thought I knew everything, but now I know nothing." This moment of vulnerability shows the cracks in his worldview, a shift from rebellion to reflection. Later, Stevo reveals the internal struggle that mirrors Kane's. "I can't change who I am, I can't change who I was, but maybe I can change where I'm going." It's a powerful acknowledgement of how his search for identity might require a shift, a movement towards something more meaningful. These characters' struggles aren't as different as they first appear. Both Kane and Stevo start with an intense desire to create change, to assert themselves in the world, but both find themselves losing sight of their original principles. Kane's cry of, "If I hadn't been very rich, I might have been a really great man," parallels Stevo's self-realization. When Stevo says, "Maybe I can change where I'm going," it highlights the possibility of redemption, of moving forward despite the loss of idealism. Both characters grapple with the emptiness that comes when ideals are sacrificed, and both, in their way, face the reality of the cost of their choices. Kane's material wealth and Stevo's archaic rebellion both provide hollow without deeper connections or purpose. In the end, both Stevo and Kane remind us of the universal search for meaning, whether it's through rebellion or ambition. They teach us that the path to fulfillment is complicated. Their stories, though unique, provide insights into our own journey.